John Assaraf. How you doing, John?
Mr. Shawn T. McIntyre, so great to be on with you. Finally, two Canadians on.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We were just talking, and it's amazing how, we're the parallel lines that we didn't know. And yeah, two Canadians, and I look forward to jumping into a bit of your story and the success that wow, your resume speaks for itself. And no, I'm excited. So I want to dive right in, John. Has business been and mindset been something that you were mentored from the time you were young, or how did you get involved in this? How did this come to be for you?
So I was mentored by my father on exactly what not to do for the first part of my life. And my father was a wonderful man. He's still alive. And he went to grade 5 and then left school because he had to work to survive and to help his family. And I got into a lot of trouble as a kid from the age of 11, 12 to about 17, 18. I was involved in a group of inept kids who were getting in trouble doing breaking and entries, selling drugs, getting in trouble at school, fights every single day. And so I left school when I was 17, grade 11, hated school, didn't do well, failed English, failed math. And the only thing I actually did well in was chemistry. I liked how things worked together, and I liked biology and gym class, did really well in gym class. And those were the easy things for me. I was heading down a path when I was younger of either jail or the morgue. Those were the only really options of what I was involved in. And fortunately for me, I've got an older brother who was a tennis pro and played the pro circuit when he was younger. And then he moved to Toronto, Canada, and got into teaching tennis there at a club. And he had this one man that he was teaching privately almost every day. His name was Alan Brown, who was a very successful real estate office owner, 700 agents, I think 6, 7 offices, was a real estate developer, and just a really wonderful philanthropist and a humanitarian, a really kind man. And my brother arranged for me to have lunch with him one day. So I took the train from Montreal, where I was living at the time, working in the shipping department of Philips Electronics, the big electronics company, Philips. I was working shipping, making $1.65 an hour. And he said, hey, why don't you come to Toronto, take the train, and let's have lunch with this guy. Maybe he can give you some success tips. And so I took the train. My brother picked me up at the train station, went to lunch with this man. And in less than 90 minutes, this man helped me see a different possibility for my life. And he asked me one question, and my one answer changed my life forever. And that was the beginning of me starting to realize maybe there is more, that I can do and achieve. And maybe there is more that I could become and give. And that was the day. And it's interesting, I'll date myself now, but this was in March of 1980. I was 19.
Wow.
So 40 years ago, one man, one question, one answer transformed my life.
Well, so you're keeping us in suspense then. What was the question and what was the answer?
So here I am sitting at lunch with this man who's very kind, very unassuming, well-groomed, well-dressed. He was probably in his 40s at the time. And he looked at me and said, what are your goals? And I said, well, I'd like to get a better job, make $1.65 an hour working in the shipping department, opening and closing boxes in this dusty shipping area. I'd like to move out of my parents' house, and I'd like to buy my own car. And he said, that's great. What are some of your bigger goals and dreams? And I go, I don't have any. And so he actually handed me this document, and it was the 1980 goal setting guide. First question, he said, I want you to sit over here at the table next to us, fill out these questions, and let me review them. So first question was, at what age do you want to retire? I'm 19. I'm like, what do you mean retire? I want to start my career, not retire. So I wrote down 45 years old, 26 years later. Second question, how much net worth do you want to have? And I looked at the question, I looked at him and I said, Mr. Brown, what does net worth mean? No idea. Well, he explained to me, your assets minus the amount you owe, that's how much you are actually really worth financially. What kind of lifestyle do you want? What kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of home do you want? It asked all these questions that I never thought of. So I wrote down, I want a Mercedes Benz. I want a 4-bedroom house. I want to travel the world first class. I want to help my parents retire. I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff that I pulled out of my ass. Just, you want to know what I'm dreaming about? So I just wrote down this stuff, and he looked at it and he said, this is really good. Excuse me. And he said, I'm going to ask you one question. And here's the question that, depending on the answer, will determine whether you achieve every one of these things. In the back of my mind, I'm at 19, right? I'm going, yeah, sure. One question is going to determine whether I achieved every one of these things. And he leans in, Shawn, and he says, are you interested in achieving all of these things, or are you committed? I said, what? Am I interested or am I committed? And I said, Mr. Brown, what's the difference? Oh. Right? And he says, well, son, he said, if you're interested, you'll do what's easy and convenient. If you're interested, you will keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. If you're interested, you'll keep using the story that you left high school at grade 11 as your crutch. If you're interested, you'll keep telling me about your father being a cab driver and your mother being a seamstress and you and your family not having enough money. And you'll keep giving me all the reasons, stories, and excuses why you can't. He said, but if you're committed, you will upgrade your mindset, you'll upgrade your skill set, and you'll upgrade what you do every day to match the vision and the goals and the destiny that you're capable of achieving. If you're committed, you will become the man capable of achieving every one of these goals, and every one of them is achievable. He said, so are you interested? Are you committed? And I'm going, wow, committed, interested, committed. And I said, I'm committed. And he leans over again with his hand out and he goes, in that case, I will be your mentor. I go, wow, awesome. What's a mentor? I'm ignorant. And he goes on to explain to me, he says, listen, a mentor is somebody who can guide you. Do this, don't do that. Here's this resource, here's that resource. Read this, watch this, listen to this, plan like this, not like that, change this, change that. And he helped me understand, like, I was used to having a mentor, a coach in sports. Yeah. But I didn't realize I could have a mentor in business, in money, in relationship, and in anything else. So I'm going to make the story really short, Shawn. So I said, I'm committed. And then he says to me, great. First thing that I'm going to ask you to do as your mentor is move from Montreal to Toronto. I said, what? The only person I know in Toronto is my brother, and now you. I don't have a job here. I don't even have a car to get here. I don't have any money. He says, stop. He says, you're giving me stories, reasons, and excuses. He said, let me teach you the first thing. He said, first, you make the commitment. Then you figure out how. I said, I understand. I get that. But he says, there are no buts. Are you interested? Are you committed? So I said, fine, I'll move to Toronto. And then he says, great. The second thing I need you to do is I need you to enroll in the real estate school that starts on May the 5th, 1980, right? And so I go, real estate school, you want me to go back to school? Are you kidding? He says, yes, and it's $500. I said, $500? I have $60 in the bank. I hate school, flunked English, flunked math. They kicked me out. I left it. He said, stop. Look how fast you go back to your story that's keeping you stuck. And I go, I know, Mr. Brown, I understand, but it's the truth. He says, I know it's your current truth. But you keep going back to the story, the reasons, the excuses that I understand. He says, if you want to get past your beliefs right now, your habits, your story, your excuses, your identity, you have to learn how to make a commitment and follow through to completion. So I said, fine, I'll go back to real estate school. I'll figure out where the F to get the money. And I share this because that became my independence month, where I moved 3 weeks later from Montreal to Toronto. My brother lent me some money. My sister lent me some money. My mother and father lent me some money for the real estate school. I moved into my brother's 1-bedroom apartment, slept on the sofa. I got into real estate class on May the 5th, 1980 was the first day. And on June 20th, I got my real estate certificate. Now, why do I know that date so well? It was the first test I had passed without cheating in years. So what did he teach me? Make a decision first, upgrade your knowledge, upgrade your skills, be committed, and become the person capable of achieving those goals. So that was the beginning of me realizing, holy shit, maybe I'm not dumb. Maybe I can become something, because I thought I was a loser. I was doing illegal things, so I thought that's what I needed to do to have a little bit of money in my pocket and to feel like I fit in. But I really had low self-esteem and low self-worth, and I thought I was dumb and I didn't do well in school. So the evidence showed that I'm not going to amount to much. And a kid who doesn't feel like he's going to amount to much is going to do the things that he thinks he needs to do to fit in. And that's what I did. Until this man, one lunch, one question, one answer, one follow through, boom, my life changed. And so I went to work for him, June 20th, 1980. He gave me a job on commission only. And then he says, okay, now let's get your mindset right. Now let's get the skill set right. So now he taught me about how to be a successful real estate agent. He taught me selling. He taught me marketing. He taught me serving people. He taught me how to set goals, how to create plans, and how to follow through to achieve them. He taught me a process, a method that had worked for him and for hundreds and hundreds of his real estate agents. And so, my first year working back in 1980, selling $20,000, $30,000 homes, which I know people are going to go, what? You can buy homes for $20,000, $30,000? Yeah, back then in Toronto, that's what it cost in certain areas. I made $31,000 on a 50-50 split, and he got $31,000 from the work that I did, and he got, half. I made $62,000 gross. And then he said, after year one, he said, now it's time to upgrade your knowledge and skills again. He taught me some new stuff. I made $150,000 in my second year in real estate at 21 years young. And I thought I died and went to heaven, because my father never made more than 25 grand in a year as a cab driver. So that was the beginning of getting my mindset right and upgrading my skill set to match the vision and the goals that I wanted. And then I've just been fascinated with the human brain since then, because I changed, and nobody could feel how you feel when you feel worthless, right? If you've never felt worthless, you really don't know what it's like to feel worthless. If you've never been punched in the face, you don't know what it feels to be punched in the face, right? And so I was at a point in my life where the right mentor came along. I was open enough to shut my mouth and to maybe try something different. And he was loving and caring enough to show me how, and I was willing enough to follow through. That was the beginning of my career and my life. And so it's been a 40-year journey. Not all of it's been, major successes. I've had some incredible failures and chances to learn from those things, but I wouldn't change anything, because it's part of my masterpiece of my life. My own painting, can't always be, bright, beautiful colors, right? Sometimes it's those, those other colors that knock you down that are actually some of your greatest lessons, because that's what forges the growth. That's what causes you to get that next level of success. right? And one of the things I love about your work is you know what I'm talking about because of the discipline that you've had to have the life and the physique that you have. So, you've got one of your representations of discipline and commitment is what you have done with your physical body. And there's obviously spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial, there's different areas. But I know whenever I see somebody's result, I know what they've had to do to get to that level, okay, of performance, right? And so I love your work, and I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh, John, so amazing. Just pure gold what you're talking about. And I resonate on just every single level. And you're right. I started with fitness as my teacher, from 38 years of complete and utter struggle. Nothing worked, right? Relationally, financially, and health-wise. And what you just said, absolutely. It's everything that I had to learn, and I learned it the hard way. And you said it, you summarized it and wrapped it up in such an amazing package. And when you said commitment, and that was probably the hardest thing for me to get, John, because it was like, well, what do you mean commit? I don't have money in my bank account. I don't, right? And it's amazing because right now we have a lot of listeners and viewers who are like, well, Shawn and John, like, you don't understand it. I'm struggling. Look at the economy. Look at the world, right? And, I don't have money in my bank account. So does it just come out of nowhere? And so, even before you and I jumped on, I had people who were asking me questions. It's like, okay, well, what's the difference between like law of attraction and the mindset, right? Because law of attraction, okay, I don't have the money. Okay, I want money. But what I heard you say, and then I want to hear your answer for sure, is no, commit. It doesn't matter if you don't have the money. It doesn't matter if you don't have the body yet or the relationship yet. You got to commit to a path. You got to commit inside, then go outside. But what would you say to that?
So when I share with people and I hear people's story, their plight, I don't have enough money. I'm overweight. My relationship is struggling. My business is suffering. My career, I'm miserable in my career, whatever the result is. One of the things I want to ask everybody to consider for just a moment is this. Would you agree that if you looked at the end of the branch of an apple tree and you saw an apple there, you know that the seed, okay, was for an apple tree or orange tree? Would you agree that every result in your life is an effect? Absolutely. So if you look at your bank account, it's an effect of obviously the money you've put in there or don't have in there. If you look at your physique, whatever age you are, it's an effect. If you analyze your relationship and whatever the answer is, you say, my relationship's amazing. My relationship sucks. I respect my partner. He or she respects me or doesn't, whatever it is. All of the effects are results. So the question that I always pose to people is this: if you keep focusing on the effect, are you not by default thinking about what you don't want? Are you not by default also feeling what you're thinking about? And are you not by default reinforcing an effect that you may not want? Part one. Part two.
Yeah.
If I said to somebody right now, if you are short of money, do you have anything in your home that you could sell if you wanted to on eBay, in your local newspaper a freaking garage sale today or tomorrow. Could you, if you absolutely had to, could you figure out 1 or 2 or 3 things that you could actually do in the next 7 days to generate more money? Help somebody somehow, sell something, some way, if you absolutely had to. You didn't have another option. And almost everybody says to me, well, yeah, I could if I had to. So why don't you put all your energy and attention on how you could because you must, instead of reinforcing patterns of what you don't want. Now, every morning when we wake up with a certain number of attention units. And so either we are paying attention in what is, or we are going to plant new seeds and fertilize the soil and nurture those seeds so that in a day, a week, 30 days, the fruit is different. So there isn't, I mean, almost nobody. There are some people, it's very challenging, I get it. But for 99% of the people that are watching and listening right now, if you made a commitment to cut off from any other option of how I can because I must, figure out how to get healthier, how to be in a better relationship, how to like my career or move, how to start a business, how to grow my business, how to make more money, all the how to already exists. Yeah. Unless you're trying to colonize Mars with Elon Musk, you really don't need to be that smart. But you do need to do the right things in the right order at the right time. Oh, right. And so I always have Rubik's cubes, on my desk. I love Rubik's cubes. And so I have some more over there. But if you committed to learning how to solve this, or the 4x4, or the 3x3, or 2x2, if you committed, most people don't know how to solve the Rubik's Cube, but would you agree that how to solve it, there are people that you could follow on YouTube right now that'll show you step by step the exact algorithm to get it solved. So your problem isn't that you don't know how to, your problem is you haven't committed to an outcome and stopped all your stories, reasons, excuses, limiting beliefs, and habits that are keeping you stuck. That's what your problem is. Your problem isn't that the solution isn't there. The problem is you haven't made a commitment to find the solution no matter what. That's the real problem. That is, very, very far away from the law of attraction, which is, well, I'm going to hope and pray some more. Hope and pray, but not as your core strategy.
Oh, oh my God, totally. And I so love what you're saying, and your teaching to me has been invaluable, John, throughout the years. And I tell this one story just to really hit home about what you're saying, is because I still remember on my second divorce, I had a knock at the door, and I still remember it was 7 p.m. and I got served legal documents, like 50-page legal documents, and with my kids about to be taken from me, and I had to come up with money for a lawyer to appear in court, and I had nothing. And so I did. I asked, and I couldn't get anything. I couldn't. And so what did I do? I did exactly what you're talking about. But I went and I was like, oh my gosh, what can I do? And I went and I got a paper route, John, a paper route at 2 a.m. Now, it only was going to pay me like $850. But everyone who said no to me as far as lending me money, I went back and I said, listen, I have a way to make $850 because I was making no money. Everything had gone into the toilet. I will pay you double on what you lend me, just so I could find a lawyer and appear in court, because I knew what I committed to, which was my daughters. And so I was willing to put in months of just doing that. So what you're saying is absolutely like brilliant. And what I'm about, yeah.
No, no,
Does that make
sorry.
sense?
I was going to share with you. I don't know if you heard, but they discovered a tribe in the Amazon forest recently. That this is like miraculous. They're the only tribe in the world that's been removed from people. They have a 100% success rate in making it rain when they dance. 100% success rate. And somebody went to see them to ask them what's their formula, and they translated and they said, "We dance until it rains."
Right.
Of course, that's a parable, but successful people figure it out. And again, I like to just remind people, right? Like let's just step back for just a moment and think about this. I always have, my little plastic brain on my desk to remind me. About 108 billion humans have walked on Earth up until now. 108 billion. 200 million, from Homo erectus to Homo sapien. Billions of years of evolution. Whether we came from the sea, which we did, regardless of what you believe, the brain of ours has been evolving for a long time. I call it the $100 billion brain that every one of us owns. We have put humans on Mars. We've put probes into the deep cosmos. We've landed, rovers on Mars. We've gone to the depths of the oceans. We've created everything that we can see and hear and use right now because of the human brain. So when somebody says, I can't do this, really? All the how-to already exists for the average person. Like, you think about it.
Totally.
Has somebody achieved what you want to achieve? And if the answer is, well, yes, somebody has, wouldn't it make sense that you at least start with, how did they do it? Totally. Like, what were they thinking? What was their behavior? How did they overcome their obstacles? And then just like, let's start with that as our fundamental blueprint. So for most of people's problems, they're focusing on the problem instead of focusing on, well, if there was a solution, where would it be? Why not start with Google? Like, just get off your Assaraf, right? And start with Google. Go, how can I overcome this? How can I do this? And you have access to the greatest library in the world. A lot is free. Like, I've got videos on YouTube that are free. You've got stuff that's free. Start with that. Then if you want to go deeper, you can go deeper. So the problem shouldn't be the problem.
Yes.
Right? The problem should not be the problem. And so let's go to some higher cortical thinking, right? And if we ask ourselves better questions, we get better answers. And so if I was committed to solving fill in the blank X, how could I? I don't know. I get that you don't know, but if you did know, what would be the first step? I don't know. But if you did know, would you maybe go to Google? Would you maybe look up authors? Would you maybe go to TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or Pinterest? Or would you find somebody who can help you? Well, yeah, I could do that. Great. When would now be a good time to start? Right? So let's start. Let's get into the game.
Absolutely.
Of how we can versus why we can't. And this is what I call as the razor's edge. And too many people are focusing on why they can't. And they have a lot of evidence. I get that. The evidence is there. But there's also the polar opposite evidence of how you can. And you only will when you make it a must.
1,000%. 1,000%. And especially if you have access to mentorship, who's gone that way.
Oh my God. Yeah, it makes it easier.
Right? Isn't that the component, John, the mentorship? Because I hear, well, Shawn, what about the fear? The fear is too much. I feel like the fear shuts my brain down. And it's like, well, that's where mentorship comes in. It's like, no, we can walk you through that unknown zone. And I know you know a lot about fear when it comes to the brain.
Sure. I mean,
Right?
listen, let's just seek to understand, right? So any goal you have, health, wealth, relationships, career, business, finance, whatever. There's only 4 things that could get in your way based on what we know in the neuroscience field, which is, this is where I play in behavioral neuroscience research, when we don't have the knowledge or skill to achieve the goal, we actually activate a circuit in our brain that causes doubt, fear, anxiety, stress, and that circuit's actually tied to the motivational circuit, which is also tied to the behavioral circuits in our brain. If you think about your brain, right, as having networks and circuits like a computer and a computer system, network system, there's circuits that turn on or off and networks that turn on or off. And if we don't have the knowledge and skills, that's okay, I get that. Then it's going to activate other circuits. And those circuits are activated as a protective mechanism to keep us safe and avoiding pain. Okay, I understand that now. And I'll share with you in just a moment, like what do I do about it? Then number 2, if I have limiting beliefs, I'm too young, too old, too white, too black, too Asian, Caucasian, whatever your limiting belief is, your limiting belief in your brain is nothing more than a reinforced circuit or pattern. You weren't born with any beliefs. You develop beliefs. Some beliefs are constructive, some are destructive, some are positive, some are negative, some empower you, some don't. But let's just say that beliefs are nothing more than reinforced pattern in your brain. Now, is it possible to deactivate a disempowering belief pattern? Yes. Is it possible to create and reinforce an empowering belief pattern? Yes. We'll come back to that in a moment. So limiting beliefs will hold you back. So then number 3 is, let's say I have this sense, like I did when I was in my late teens and 20s, I'm not worthy of the success that I want, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. So I had worthiness challenges as well as limiting beliefs. So if my self-image, okay, is smaller than my goals, my self-image will win. Why? Because it's part of my subconscious pattern, and a subconscious pattern will always override a conscious pattern over time. So it could be my self-image that is in the way. So that's 3 now. So knowledge and skills or lack of them can be a problem. Limiting beliefs could be a problem. Self-image, self-worth, self-esteem can be a problem. And then there are 50 different types of fears. So let's say I agree to have you mentor me, Shawn, and I don't follow through, and I'm disappointed, and I disappoint you, and I'm embarrassed. I don't want that to happen. So I'll say, no, thank you. So if I have a fear of being embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, judged, rejected, if I have a fear of failure or succeeding and then failure, if I have a fear of disappointing you, my children, my mother, my father, my wife, my husband, if that fear is present, then my brain is going to predict the consequences in advance, and that's going to cause me to procrastinate, to sabotage. So everything that I've shared is the human condition. Now, with that said, now we know what the things could be.
Right.
Here is the next layer of the question. Is it possible for me to upgrade my self-image and self-worth? Yes. Is it possible for me to learn how to be aware of when my fear circuit's activated and the emotion that I feel? And is it possible for me to release it and take action even when fear is there? Yes. Is it possible for me to recognize limiting beliefs and create empowering ones through maybe affirmations, visualization, meditation, mindfulness, subliminal programming? Is it possible? Yes. Well, if it's possible to become aware of all of these things and to upgrade my behavior from reacting automatically to responding methodically, Now, who's in control? The reason I wrote my newest book, Inner Size, The New Science to Unlock Your Brain's Hidden Power, is because we now understand more about this $100 billion brain that we each already own. Now it's your responsibility to learn how to drive it better. So if you don't want to be a better pilot, a better driver, better user of your brain, okay, then keep complaining about what you don't have, what's not working, and keep reinforcing that. That's your choice. I can't change that. But if you commit to becoming a better manager than master of your mindset, your skill set, and your action set, the world could be at your door to serve you instead of you having lack and limitation, because we are not seeing the world as it is. We are projecting the world as we are. So is there lack? Yes. Is there abundance? Yes. Is fear real? Yes. But can you manage it? Yes. Are limiting beliefs real? Yes, but so are empowering ones. Is a self-esteem, a low self-esteem, possible? Yes, but so is an empowering self-esteem. Now you can choose to be aware, or you can choose to be a victim. It's your choice. That's the biggest difference between a horse and a pig and us. We can actually choose. We can actually learn to be more aware, without judgment, blame, shame, guilt, or justification. And then we can learn to deliberately and consciously now evolve ourselves. That's an empowered human being versus being a victim of my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my current wife, my ex-wife, my husband, my children, my boss, my business, the marketplace, COVID. Oh my God. You can choose to be a victim of it, or you can choose to be victorious, but you can't do both at the same time.
Just phenomenal.
Right? Thank you.
John, phenomenal. And so obviously this book, this is what you're focusing on now. This is, you've had your book out for, a while now, and this is what you're teaching. Yeah. And one thing that I've been saying is your inner world, the work you do inside. There's not enough that you can do outside right if you don't handle the inner, right? Yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah, the outer world is a manifestation of the inner world. Mm-hmm. Right. So, when we're looking at that result of ours, I think everybody would agree. Would you agree with this? All of your results are based on what you do or don't do.
Absolutely.
Right. And if you do the right things in the right order at the right time, we can create some sense of predictability, right?
Absolutely.
So, and if you don't do the right things in the right order at the right time, there's uncertainty. And so the first part before any of that comes into play is, are you tired of the results you're getting? And are you committed to having some new results? That's where it has to start.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make a difference to read another book, to watch another podcast, to go on YouTube and to get another sunburn.
Totally. Absolutely.
Right? So, if you're committed to your health, there are certain things that you should eat and not eat. There's certain times you should eat them or don't eat them. There's a certain number of calories. There's a certain way to make sure that your hormones levels are regulated so that, you're not getting your leptin levels out of whack or your cortisol levels too high so that fat doesn't want. There's certain things that you have to do to get the result you want. But before you say, I want the result, like when I set goals, my very next question, hey, John, are you committed to that? Or is it like a kind of nice to have, like to have? Like that's the very next, because like I have my goals, I've got my vision board, I've got my exceptional life blueprint, I've got all that stuff. But the very next question is, are you committed to doing what it takes, to letting go of what didn't or isn't working, to upgrading your knowledge, your skills, your identity, your character, your strategies, your behaviors? Are you committed to that? And if the answer is, it comes off the list. I don't want to use the drug of choice, okay, to achieve my goals. And Shawn, you may have heard me say this, the drug of choice for most people is called hopium.
Oh gosh.
So I asked myself, what I want to trade my life for, so that I feel proud that I'm trading my life for that. Now, I don't achieve every one of my goals. I achieve many of them. I don't achieve every one of them, and I certainly don't achieve every one of them in the time frames that I've set for them.
Right.
But I want to feel like I'm giving it my very best effort if I'm committed. If I'm committed. If I'm not committed, I just let myself off the hook.
Yeah.
So that's a nice to have. That'll be really great. And I have a goal. I know you've offered to help me. I'll be 60 in September, and I've been working on a 6-pack at 60. I was 243 pounds at 48, 33% body fat. I released that, got to 197 pounds, and I've kept it off for the last 10 years. And so I said, now that I'm in great, shape in my adult years, what's a goal that would cause me to challenge my discipline even more, to challenge my focus even more, to upgrade my knowledge and skills even more? I said, well, fat at 50, 6-pack at 60.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm like 5 months away from that. And I'm just methodically, methodically doing what I need to do, raise my level of commitment. I gave up alcohol 12 years ago, started working out, started being vegan 8 years ago, took out refined sugar.
Yes.
September, whatever, my birthday last September, I had like my last piece of carrot cake. And I have been refined sugar free since then. And I'm taking all the way to the end of this year, because I knew that was one of my nemesis. And the level of discipline to get, not have like even a vegan cookie or, vegan ice cream is like 0. And, I'm just getting shredded. And it's not about the 6-pack.
Exactly.
It's not about the 6-pack. It's about the discipline of who do I want to become to be able to do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that is the win. That is the self-worth, self-esteem, self-image. That's the discipline. That's changing habits. Now I'm using all of that to inspire other people. I went skiing with my sons. Last week we were skiing, and for many years they're 24 and 25 now, two boys who are in great shape, and they would kick my ass on the mountain. And this trip they're like, Dad, we're freaking exhausted. I'm going, go inside, I'm going for 5 more rounds. Wow, you've really kept your promise, and your commitment. That to me is worth it, right? So, but don't make decisions to do stuff that you're not committed to follow through on, because it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
If you want to play at the higher levels, if you want to play, you can't say I want to become a millionaire, okay, and spend like a drunken sailor. You got to learn how to earn, manage, invest, protect, and use debt wisely. There are disciplines for each result that you want. And Jim Rohn mentioned many years ago, the great philosopher, says, in life, you're either going to pay the price of discipline, or you will pay the price of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Right?
Absolutely.
So I don't want to live a life of regret. I don't want to sit in my rocking chair at 90 or 100 going, why didn't you do it when you could? Why did you let yourself slide? Why didn't you rise up to the occasion? Why didn't you do what you could do when you actually could do it? I don't want to have that conversation with myself.
Totally.
So that is more painful than any of the discipline.
But it's the commitment. You committed. And this applies to anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Like, it applies to anything externally.
Yeah, I committed to the type of life I'm committed to having.
Yeah.
Period. No matter what. There isn't a fear bigger than that. There isn't a limiting belief bigger than that. There isn't a self-image challenge I won't overcome that's bigger than that. There isn't knowledge or skill I won't learn because I refuse to compromise my life. Period. End of story. I refuse. I refuse means there is nothing that will stop me. I mean, obviously there's outside forces, something may happen, but anything that's in my control that I can do legally, ethically, professionally, I will pay that price because I refuse to pay the price of regret.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. Simple. Oh, John, this has been absolutely phenomenal. And every chance that I can be around you and speak with you, it's always just next level with you.
Thank you, my friend.
And so, John, where can we not only follow you and continue to see the goals and the next level commitments that you're doing? Because I know that it's something that you don't stop, that you'll just continue to up level, because that's who you are. And I love that. Yeah. So, and of course, get your book, Inner Side.
Yeah, I've got several New York Times best-selling books. If you have a business, pick up The Answer. If you want to learn how to achieve your goals faster, having it all. But my newest book, Inner Size, The New Science of Unlocking Your Brain's Hidden Powers, available on Amazon. And there's 9 brain training audios that come with it, worth a couple $100. I'm on Instagram. I'm on my Facebook fan page. I'm on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all the channels, sharing and giving hopefully a lot of really great free stuff. And if you want to go deeper, I have lots of awesome stuff for them to go deeper on as well.
Amazing. And I'll be posting links as well to
you, my friend.
Everything. So, John, absolute pleasure. And thank you again. We'll talk to you.
Awesome as always. Thank you, Shawn.
Gotcha. Bye for now.